She was just passenger 127, a number on a boarding list, a face no one noticed as she took her seat on that crowded military transport plane. The engines roared, the air smelled of steel and fuel, and soldiers shifted in their seats, some joking, others lost in their own silence. She sat quietly, hands folded in her lap, her uniform plain compared to those around her. To most, she was invisible, just another service member among many, another passenger in transit. But life has a way of hiding its most powerful stories in plain sight. None of the men around her knew that the airspace they were crossing that day would bring her past, crashing into the present. And when the call sign she once carried echoed across the radios of the F-22 pilots escorting them, something happened that froze the moment in time. The fighters dipped in unison, the pilots saluting her in a gesture no one on board would ever forget. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in honoring those whose courage often goes unseen, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Armed Forces Stories. These are the moments that deserve to live forever. Her name was Captain Sarah Whitmore, and once she had been more than just a passenger. Years earlier, she had flown through skies darker than night, piloting rescue helicopters into combat zones others refused to enter. Her call sign, Valkyrie, was whispered with respect among those who knew the stories. She had saved lives in the most impossible circumstances, lowering her bird into gunfire and chaos to bring soldiers back from the edge of death. But war takes even when you survive. On one mission, a blast sent her craft spiraling, breaking her body and nearly ending her career. She lived, but the fractures went deeper than bone. Doctors told her she'd never fly again. For Sarah, the skies she loved had been taken away, and with them, the identity she had built her life around. When she returned to service in limited roles, it was different. No more rotors slicing through chaos. No more Valkyrie answering desperate calls. She had been grounded, and the world slowly forgot her name. The assignment that placed her on this transport plane was uneventful by design. She was relocating to another base, one more posting in a long list of duties that made her feel more like cargo than soldier. To the crew and the soldiers sharing the flight, she was just another passenger. They didn't see the woman who had once carried the weight of lives in her hands, who had once flown into fire with the kind of courage that scars you forever. Sarah didn't blame them. She no longer introduced herself as Valkyrie. She rarely spoke of her past. There was a part of her that feared those stories would sound like lies now, like some half-forgotten legend unworthy of being retold. She was content, or perhaps resigned, to being overlooked. But the skies that had once nearly claimed her life were not done with her yet. As the transport climbed higher, the intercom crackled. 2 F-22 Raptors had joined the escort, their sleek shapes slicing across the sky. The soldiers pressed against the windows, excited by the sight of the fighters. To them, it was a thrill, a reminder of American power in motion. Sarah watched quietly, her eyes tracing the Raptors as they held position, steady and sure. She knew the language of the skies better than anyone on that plane. She could almost hear the silent conversations between wings and wind. Then came a sound she hadn't expected, the faint chatter of the pilots, cutting across the channel. Her old call sign had been spoken, carried on the waves like a ghost. Valkyrie. The word hit her like a heartbeat skipping, her chest tightening as she realized someone out there remembered. It happened quickly. The Raptors shifted formation, dipping their wings low in a move that wasn't standard protocol. It wasn't for the transport, it was for her. The soldiers around her leaned forward, confused at first, until the pilots' voices confirmed it. They weren't saluting the aircraft. They were saluting Passenger 127. They were saluting Valkyrie. In that suspended moment, Sarah felt the years of silence break. Tears stung her eyes as the realization washed over her. She had not been forgotten. The skies, and those who still ruled them, had carried her memory forward. The men on the plane turned to look at her, their expressions changing as recognition dawned. She wasn't just another passenger anymore. She was someone whose courage had once kept their brothers alive, someone whose name still carried honor among those who knew the cost of service. The atmosphere inside the plane shifted. Soldiers who had barely noticed her now stared with awe, whispering the call sign like it was something sacred. Sarah sat still, overwhelmed, the weight of years of doubt lifting from her shoulders. She had spent so long thinking her story had ended the day she was grounded, that her worth had been sealed in hospital reports and lost assignments. But here was proof that valor isn't erased by time or injury. The salute of those Raptors was a reminder that service doesn't vanish because your role changes, that sacrifice leaves an imprint others never forget. She smiled faintly, her hands trembling in her lap, as if the very skies were returning the salute she had once given them. When they landed hours later, Sarah expected the moment to fade like a dream. But it didn't. Word of the salute spread quickly through the base. Officers came forward to thank her, soldiers asked about her missions, and for the first time in years, she spoke of them openly. She told the stories of those rescues, not to boast, but to honor the men she had brought home and the crews who had flown beside her. She spoke of fear, of the sound of bullets tearing the air, of the weight of making choices that meant life or death, and in their eyes she saw not pity, but respect. It was as if the salute had unlocked a door she thought would always stay shut. In the weeks that followed, Sarah found herself transformed. She was no longer the forgotten passenger. She became a mentor, a voice of experience for young pilots and soldiers just beginning their journeys. They listened not because she demanded it, but because they could feel the truth in her words. The salute from the Raptors had been more than a gesture. It had been a torch, passed back into her hands, reminding her of who she was. She wasn't just Captain Sarah Whitmore. She was Valkyrie, and she always would be. And so, what began as an ordinary flight became a turning point. A woman who thought her story was over learned that courage doesn't expire, that respect can echo across years and skies, and that even when the world forgets, there will always be someone who remembers. Her journey from invisibility to recognition is a lesson for us all, that the titles, the call signs, the medals, they may fade, but the spirit behind them never does. And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Armed Forces Stories. These are the hidden truths that remind us why we honor those who serve, not just for what they do, but for who they are. Before we close, I have a special request. Drop a comment below and tell us what this story meant to you. Maybe you know someone who deserves to be remembered, or maybe you felt unseen in your own life. Share your thoughts. Your words might be the reminder someone else needs. Until next time, thank you for watching Armed Forces Stories, where we keep alive the courage, the sacrifice, and the unseen legends that shape our world.